Guys, my name's Nick and welcome back to the channel, and in today's video something a little bit different. We're doing a review of a photo light box. A lot of people take a lot of pictures of their miniatures and their photos are typically quite average or bad. I've had a personal sort of setup made out of PVC pipe and a white roller blind before, and then having some external photo lights takes up a lot of room, takes forever to set up. And what I really want to do is be able to pop up a little photo booth, take some photos, put it all away, and not upset the wife, and then move on with the hobby. And I asked the Wargamers Unification group if anyone had any experience. None of them really did. They had a couple of sort of semi options, but they normally involved having external lights or desk lamps or whatever pointing into the box. I wanted something integrated that didn't involve having to plug a million items into all the wall sockets in a more limited space, and I wanted something big enough to be able to take some of the larger models, some of the larger 4x stuff, Titan kind of scale. Wanted something that could capture everything in a single photograph, and this one I think does the job. So let's go straight into the video. So this is the one I went for. It is the Amazon Basics Portable Photo Studio. It's £112.09 currently on their website. Now that is a little bit expensive. There are lots of cheaper options, but let me kind of go through the reasons why I went for this particular one over some of the others. First up, the big reason is it's big. This is 25 inches by 30 inches by 25 inches deep, so that's a really big opening and a really big space to pick and use some of the large models that I have in my collection. Many of the other photo booths that are sort of half the price of this, you start looking at the measurements and they're either 40 or 50 centimetres, which is somewhere between sort of 16 to 19 inches in diameter. And that's not particularly great for capturing models and miniatures of this kind of scale, or if you wanted to put in some larger armies and so on and get those big group photos, wasn't ideal. So I thought, you know what, I'm just going to go with the bigger option. And one of the other reasons is the integrated light system. So we'll get to that as the video rolls through. So as you can see, we're not in the hobby man cave today. We are in the dining room where I do my battle reports just for the extra space. What I do is just show how easy it is to actually put up. So here it is on my dining table. And this is in real time. So it's got a top flap section first, and that contains the power supply to the lighting system. It's external and just plugs into the side. And I'll show you that little socket in a second. That top flap also doubles up as a photo aperture or photo window to take top-down photographs of the models that are inside the light box. So, yep, just plug the power supply in. You can see my wonderful power socket halfway up the wall. Don't ask why that's there, it just is. And just grab the top handle and hold the bottom section so that it doesn't all fly up, and then you just pull. Oh, sorry, just have to undo the Velcro first, and then pull, and then it's done. And all you've got to do is just unfold the middle section, which is the sort of reflective white surface that you take the photos against. And what this one has over many of its rivals is this front flap as well, so that any light that is transmitted from those two light sources inside just reflects off of all four or all six surfaces that are inside the box. And all you got to do is just plug the little power cord into a little flap that's on the side, which you can see in this picture here. So it's nice and concealed, just sits down there, and that powers both of the light units. Now inside here you can see there's one in the sort of top left and one in the front. Now they can't be moved around, and I know some of the other photo booths you can, but with the way that it reflects all the light around, it doesn't actually really need to be moved. So yeah, you get very minimal, if any, shadowing. And you can see how bright it is just there at the moment as I show sort of the Velcro ceilings for the front flap section. Now that front flap section has 3 window openings, which are held together by little magnets, I guess. So you can just hold the front one open or hold the lower one open and just close it. Then you can open the middle one, and then there's a top one as well, so you can get different angles and different views of the subject inside the photo box, and then still maintain that reflective inner surface. And as I mentioned, under where that power supply goes, in this little zipped hole here, you open that up and you can actually take a top-down photo through that little hole as well. So it's, yeah, you've got multiple angles, although you would need either a very steady hand or a nice decent over-arm rig on your camera to get to it, or you put the photo box on the floor. You know, it's your choice. But for me, this was my aim of my setup. Now, I've just stuck my wife's camera on the tripod for now as an example, but just doing this, and you can see that, yeah, the camera just sits on its tripod. You just adjust the legs as required, and then point it through the relevant hole that you want to take the models of, or the photos of the models. And if you use that lower one, you're obviously going to get a very side-on picture, but as you go up through the different holes, you can then get different angles. Or if the model itself is that much larger, you can square the camera off, or remove the entire front and take a picture of the whole lot. Now, quite simple, just to do the reverse procedure to actually put it away. Just unplug it, fold it all back up, and it collapses really simply and really quickly. The general construction of the box is actually pretty good, to be honest. I was expecting a lot cheaper materials, but just by looking at some of the reviews of some of the Chinese manufacturers of these kind of products, and you read the reviews and people are saying that it does feel a bit flimsy on their versions, but this Amazon Basics one, to be honest, doesn't actually feel that bad. It does feel pretty solid. It also comes with a 1-year warranty. It also comes with the guarantee that it's been sold by Amazon, so their returns policy is actually very good anyway. So combining those two sort of gave me the reason why I ended up going for the slightly more expensive product. And as you can see, just by while I'm talking about that, it's all folded away nice and easy. Do the little 2 Velcro straps on the side, put the power supply back in its little hole, and yeah, it will slide under the bed or into the back of a wardrobe, wherever you want to keep it, nice and out of the way. And that is all there is to say about it, really. Obviously, I haven't had any other photo boxes to try and compare against, but so far, I'm quite impressed. And here's some examples without any tweaking of the photographs at all. These are raw images straight off my camera, without having to do any kind of magic in Photoshop or any photo editor to brighten them up. These are exactly as you see them. I wanted to see how big a product I could get in there, so I've built a 3-story piece of Sector Mechanicus terrain, and all I've done here is just mess around with the aperture, exposure and ISO settings on my camera just to see, just to mess around with getting the best picture. And I kind of decided that last one was the better version. Some of the others were a bit dark, some a bit light, and then just mess around depending on your own camera settings. So there we go then, guys. That is the review of the Amazon Basics Photo Studio. £112, is it worth it? That's probably the biggest question, I would imagine. There are a number of alternatives that do very similar things that are available from Amazon or wherever you want to look for. And the big thing to look for is the size of the box. The smallest I saw was around about 40 centimetres. And then the largest one that I found is the one that I'm going to be using, the one that's in this review. So it comes down to, do you really want really good photos that are a lot less hassle? Because you can get these little boxes that have sort of got transparent diffused sides, and you put sort of desk lamps into each side, and that diffuses the light around the box, and that's what you take photos with. And you can make one. You could go and get some tissue paper and a box and make one yourself. How long that will last is a matter of debate. I've seen some good videos on how to make sort of decent looking ones online, and they do have some good results. So if you are on a serious budget, then probably avoid this one, because this is one of the most expensive ones on the market. But for me, the size is important. Now, the other key factor when you're looking at the width of a photo box is what your camera can actually capture in its image. Now, for me, I'm struggling to get through the little aperture at the front. I'm struggling to capture the whole width fairly close up, as I don't have a wide-angle camera lens. So one of the big things to look for is what lenses you have with your camera. And if you have a wide-angled lens, it's not going to be a problem. I'm probably going to be buying a wide-angled lens myself, and that will enable me to capture the full width and use the full box to its best ability. But as you can see from those pictures, if you just mess around with the settings on your camera, you can get really well lit, no ghosting, no weird effect. The light is capturing and going all over the models from whichever angle is required, and you don't get any of that weird effects that you can see on lesser less of photographs really. And one of the big things about social media and sharing your photos of your Warhammer miniatures or any other miniatures that you're taking photos of is the ability to share them on social media, Facebook groups, YouTube videos, Pinterest, Instagram, wherever it is you're using it. And the best way to gain a decent following, in my opinion, is to have good quality photos, and those aren't easy to do. But with this box or any other light box, really, you're going to get a lot better photographs than just taking it off of your camera phone in front of whatever it is you've got on your desk. So dedicated photo time, I think, is the best way of showing off your hobby. But as I said, there are boxes that can start, you know, from around sort of £35 and work their way up. £35 ones don't tend to have the integral lights. You start around about £60 for the ones that have integrated LED lights. They don't get hot. And this one goes all the way up to, as I said, £112. So for me, I think it's worth it. Would I pay £112 if I had the choice? I don't think it's worth £112. I think it's worth around about the 80 mark, in my opinion. But that will come down to how often I use it, how good the quality is, the amount of times I, you know, put the tent up and take it apart and see whether all the joins and everything else sort of stay together without breaking. I think that will be a test of time. So, but yeah, that's going to wrap this video up. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something new. If you did, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Let me know how you're doing your photographs. Have you got a photo light booth like this that you think is perhaps better? I'd love to hear from you guys, but until then, I shall catch you guys on the next video.
If you have a problem, if no one else can help, and if you can find them, maybe you can hire the A-Team.